It was the kind of day I had anticipated with a mixture of pride and unease. My wife, Layla, had just received a huge promotion at her firm, one she had worked tirelessly for over the past year. I had congratulated her genuinely that morning, smiling as she twirled in front of the mirror, glowing in her new power suit, exuding confidence like never before. But as the evening unfolded, I realized that pride had been replaced with something much sharper, condescension. She came home with a sparkle in her eyes, a wine glass in hand, and a laugh that carried an unmistakable edge. "You know, it feels strange," she said, swirling the wine, "being married to a poor man while I'm moving up in the world." Her words hit me like ice. A laugh, a joke? Maybe. But the look in her eyes told me otherwise. She was relishing the disparity, savoring the superiority she felt over me. I didn't respond immediately. I poured myself a drink in silence, letting the sharp taste ground me while I observed her. She continued, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me, talking about bonuses, office parties, and her new colleagues' admiration. Every word, every gesture, felt like a needle pricking my dignity. And yet, I remained calm. That calmness, I knew, would be far more powerful than anger or tears. Later that night, while she relaxed on the couch, I excused myself to the study, pretending to catch up on emails. But I wasn't working. I was planning. She had underestimated me, assumed that my modest lifestyle and quiet demeanor meant weakness. She hadn't realized that patience can be more dangerous than a scream, and subtlety more lethal than confrontation. I started small. I reviewed our finances quietly, moving funds, restructuring investments, and making calls under the guise of mundane chores. She noticed nothing. Then I began sending anonymous tips about a local real estate opportunity, tips that would yield immediate, substantial returns. Within weeks, I had quietly turned our savings into a nest egg far beyond what even her promotion would ever earn. Every move was invisible, every success unnoticed until the perfect moment. That moment arrived one Saturday evening. Layla returned home after yet another celebratory dinner for her office promotion, radiant, confident, and, as always, dismissive of my lesser achievements. I greeted her warmly, not with tension, but with a relaxed, almost casual air. She arched an eyebrow, clearly expecting meekness, but instead found serenity. "Layla," I said, gesturing toward the driveway. "Want to see something?" Curiosity flickered in her eyes. She followed me outside, and I stopped before our modest garage. I pressed a button on the key fob, and the garage door rumbled open to reveal not the old car she had always joked about, but a sleek, brand-new luxury vehicle gleaming under the porch light. Her mouth fell open. "What, how?" she stammered, eyes wide as she stepped closer. I smiled faintly. "Remember when you laughed at me, called me poor? Well, I guess I just forgot to mention what poor can really do." I handed her the keys, letting the weight of the gesture settle in. She tried to recover her composure, attempted a laugh, but it sounded hollow, forced, like the echo of a voice she no longer recognized. That wasn't all. Over the next hour, I led her through the house, now subtly upgraded, renovations quietly completed while she had been immersed in her promotion celebrations. The kitchen gleamed with new appliances, the living room furniture had been updated, and in the study where I had spent so many quiet nights planning, she noticed the certificates and documents showing our investments had multiplied in ways she had never imagined. Her laughter, once sharp and taunting, faded into stunned silence. She looked at me, eyes wide, searching for an explanation, some sign of trickery, but there was none. I had achieved everything quietly, methodically, without her noticing, and now the full impact of my actions settled over her like a thunderclap. I don't understand," she whispered, voice trembling. "How, when, why didn't I?" "You didn't notice," I replied simply, smiling calmly. "You assumed, as many do, that appearances tell the full story. You assumed that wealth and power come only from visible achievements. But sometimes, real power, real success, is quiet. Patient. invisible until the moment it chooses to reveal itself. Her face flushed with a mixture of embarrassment, awe, and, though she would never admit it, respect. She had underestimated me, overlooked my capabilities, and assumed that her superiority in office rank and salary equaled superiority in life. That had been her mistake. She tried to regain her composure, attempting her usual teasing, her playful jabs, but they fell flat. The woman who had laughed at my supposed poverty was now speechless, confronting the reality that while she had been focused on visible status, I had quietly built a foundation she could neither laugh at nor ignore. That night, as we sat together, she remained silent, processing the revelation. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The shock on her face, the quiet comprehension, the shift in her perception, that was all the answer I needed. Actions, not words, had spoken volumes. From that day forward, everything changed. She no longer mocked, no longer dismissed, no longer assumed I was lesser. There was a new balance, a quiet respect forged not from confrontation, but from patience, strategy, and the subtle demonstration of power. And I realized something crucial. The greatest shock isn't in revenge or argument, it's in quietly showing someone that you were never the person they thought they knew. She had laughed at me as a poor man. I didn't respond with anger, I didn't beg for respect. I let my actions speak. And when they finally did, she was left frozen, not with fear, but with the undeniable recognition that she had underestimated the man she thought she knew. And in that frozen moment, I understood the truth. True power, true respect, and true victory often arrive quietly, invisibly, and when they do, they are impossible to ignore.